Hi everyone, I'm Shelly from There's No Place Like Home at redheadmom8.wordpress.com. Last week I shared with you some tips on how to write unit studies, and today I decided that I should probably share with you what unit studies are, because I know that there are a lot of you who are newer to homeschooling and probably aren't really sure about what a unit study is to begin with. So first of all, I'm going to talk about what it's not. If you think about the way that things are approached in school, all of the subjects are learned during different times of the day. They're separated. First your child might do English, and then math, and then history, where they might learn, say for example, they might be learning about World War II, and then they move on to a science class where they might be doing biology. And all of these school subjects are not really connected in any way. They're kind of all just broken off from one another. They have no way of relating to one another. So what a unit study is instead of breaking everything apart into separate subjects like that have no relationship to one another, a unit study will take one topic and it will include all of the subject areas into that one topic, because studies have really shown that when kids learn things with one stream of thought, I guess you could say, on one specific area, they tend to understand it and comprehend it more, and it really makes sense because they're not going from one thing and then going to something else that's completely different. They're learning about the same thing, but just different areas of it. And unit studies are really easier to explain by example than just by telling you like this. I might be completely confusing you now, which I hope I didn't, but I will give an example. For example, if you decide that you would like to learn about inventors or inventions with your kids, okay? You take that one topic and you might find some vocabulary words that you want to use that have to do with inventions. And then you might ask your kids to make their own inventions. And that could be science related, that could be STEM. You could ask them to make sketches of what their inventions are going to look like, because if you are actually sending an invention off to the plans for one off to a patent office, they'll want some sort of sketch. So you could ask them to sketch your plans for the invention. That right there could cover art. You might read the biography of different inventors, say of Thomas Edison. You might do that. So that is going to have science in it and history. And as you can see, what this is doing is it's taking one topic, inventors and inventions, and it's incorporating all of the subject areas into that one topic so that they really tend to be more smooth for your kids to understand. It's not all, I kind of think of breaking things apart like that as being really choppy. You're going from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. And a lot of times it won't click for kids. But if you're doing something that is all interrelated, because that means you're really delving deeply into this subject. You're not just hitting it in a really shallow way like a lot of times they do when you do it the breaking apart into subjects way. That's kind of shallow and they touch on things here and there. But when you're taking one topic and exploring all of the areas that go with it, not only are you touching on all of the subject areas that are usually required by each state, but you're also really going into it so much more deeply than if you would just be doing it, say, for example, just for history. That's it. So, and really you can take a unit study and you can make it out of anything. Any topic can be made into a unit study, so you could use your child's interests. If your child is really into dinosaurs, okay, you can incorporate science into that. You can incorporate geography by pointing out where the different dinosaur remains were found. You can go into history about, when the first dinosaur fossils were found. And just the same way, there are really so many different ways that you can incorporate a child's interests, or maybe even something that you want to teach to your kids. Like, I really wanted my kids to learn about pioneer life. So what we did was we read through Little House on the Prairie, And while we were doing that, we did all sorts of things. Like my kids churned butter, and they were always outside role playing, making their own cabin and doing the sorts of things that they did in those times. We made a lot of the food that they made. We learned how they pulled the sap out of the trees, to make that into maple sugar, and and all the history, of course, that is involved in that. So we took that topic. Now, that wasn't particularly a topic that my kids asked for, but I really wanted them to learn about that time period. But my kids had so much fun doing it. We probably did that for about 3 months. So that is really what a unit study is. It's just taking one topic and exploring all of the different subject areas with it rather than breaking it apart. If you have, and one other thing that I do want to say about unit studies is that since it does that, since it incorporates everything into that one topic, there is no need to use separate textbooks for every subject. Because if you're doing it this way, you have no need to hit on the other subjects. You're already doing it in that one area. I know that when I first started doing unit studies, I didn't quite understand that. I did the unit studies because I thought they were neat, but then on top of that, I was still doing, like a social studies curriculum and a science curriculum and everything else that I thought we should be doing. I didn't quite get that unit studies cover all of that. They take the place of all of those textbooks. Most people who do unit studies usually will incorporate some sort of language arts and math curriculum. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they have so much of those areas too in their unit study that they don't even need to do that. But I know that typically speaking, most people will do a language arts and math, and then everything else will just be completely covered with the unit study. And it is enough. And the kids absorb it so much better than if you're just teaching them things that aren't related to each other at all. So if you have any other questions about unit studies, leave a comment. I hope that I've explained it properly to you, and I hope you have a great day.